Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22. The process of devotional service. Abhideya Tattva. Sambandha Gyan. Devotional service. Sadhana Bhakti. Sambandha Gyan. Sadhana Bhakti is what I meant to say. Abhideya. Abhideya Tattva, the process of devotion. Connecting with the Supreme. Sadhana Bhakti, practicing the practice of bhakti, devotional service. We're going to finish this chapter today. Will we finish it today? Let's see. Maybe, maybe not. We'll go through it. I think we'll finish it today. Let's begin. Text 145. Jnana vairagyadi bhaktira kabuna heyanga ahimsayami niyamari bule Krishna bhakta sangha. The path of speculative knowledge and renunciation is not very essential for devotional service. Indeed, good qualities such as non-violence and mind and sense control automatically accompany a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So there's no need for supplemental practices in bhakti. Bhakti is a complete practice. And the benefits that one may attribute to other practices, they come as intrinsic to bhakti as well. Tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vai mad atmanaha na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayashreyo bhaved iha. For one who is fully engaged in my devotional service, whose mind is fixed on me in bhakti yoga, the path of speculative knowledge and dry renunciation is not very beneficial. Etena hyadbhuta vyadha tavahim sadayo gunaha hari bhakto pravritaye nate syu paratapinaha. O hunter, good qualities like non-violence, which you have developed, are not very astonishing, for those who are engaged in the Lord's devotional service are never inclined to give pain to others because of envy. From Skanda Purana. Vaidhi bhakti sadhanera kahilun vivarana raganuga bhaktira lakshana suna sanatana. My dear Sanatan, I have now in detail described devotional service according to the regulative principles. Now hear from me about spontaneous devotional service and its characteristics. So Mahaprabhu has just concluded describing Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti Sadhanera Kahilun Vivarana. The practice, Vaidhi Bhakti Sadhanera, the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti. Ragatmika Bhakti Mukhya Brajavasi Jane Thara Anugata Bhaktira Raganuganame. The original inhabitants of Vrindavan are attached to Krishna spontaneously in devotional service. Nothing can compare to such a spontaneous devotional service, which is called Ragatmika Bhakti. When a devotee follows in the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavan, his devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti. Ishte svarasi kiraga Parama vishtita bhavet tanmayi ya bhavet bhakti satra ragat mikodita. When one becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his natural inclination to love is fully absorbed in thoughts of the Lord. That is called transcendental attachment. And spontaneous service according to that attachment is called ragatmika, or spontaneous devotional service. Este gara Trishna ragera swarupa lakshana, este avistata e tatashta lakshana. The primary characteristic of spontaneous love is deep attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Absorption in Him is a marginal characteristic. Ragamai bhaktirahaya ragatmika nama tahasuni lubda haya kona bhagavan. Thus, devotional service, which consists of raga, deep attachment, is called ragatmika, spontaneous loving service. If a devotee covets such a position, he is considered to be most fortunate. Lobhe brajavasera bhave kare anugati shastra yukte nahimani raga nugara prakriti. If one follows in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, out of such transcendental covetousness, he does not care for the injunctions or reasonings of Shastra. That is the way of spontaneous love. So that's the primary difference between Vidhi Marg or Vaidhi Bhakti and Raga Bhakti. One is governed by the dictates of Shastra and the other by the dictates of the heart of the devotee. Of course, the heart must first be purified, otherwise those dictates will not be oriented to bhakti, will not be based on devotion, but rather based on some other tainted motive, some material motive. If the heart is impure, then its object of desire will be not to greater or lesser extents unrelated to pleasing Krishna. So they try and approach Raga Bhakti following the dictates of the heart, but their heart is driven to those things unconnected to Krishna, so it will not be devotional service. They may think it to be, but if the heart is impure, then how can it be? Something governed by a pure heart, then of course that is Raga Bhakti. So that's why the precaution is always given and to not try and jump too fast into bhakti that is governed by spontaneous devotion. Another spontaneous devotion, just a way of saying the dictates of the heart. Whatever the heart feels, you do. Because if it's done prematurely, before the heart is clean and pure, then it will be damaging in its effect. So Vaidhi Bhakti, if you're following a set of rules and regulations, then those rules and those regulations are designed to protect you, to keep you on a straight and narrow path, until the point where you can begin to navigate for yourself. If you know the route off by heart, then you don't need a map. But until you know the route off by heart, then you require some kind of navigation, some kind of guidance system. Vaidhi Bhakti. Virajantim abhivyaktam brajavasi janadishu ragatmikam anusritaya sa raganugocyate. Devotional service and spontaneous love is vividly expressed and manifested by the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Devotional service that accords with their devotional service is called Raganuga Bhakti, or devotional service following in the wake of spontaneous loving service. Tat tad bhavati madhurye shrute dir yad apekshate natra shastram na yuktim cha tal lobho pati lakshanam. When an advanced realized devotee hears about the affairs of devotees in Vrindavan and the mellows of Shanta, Dasya, Shakya, Vatsalya and Madhura, he becomes inclined in that way and his intelligence becomes attracted. Indeed, he begins to covet that particular type of devotion. When such consciousness is awakened, when such covetousness is awakened, one's intelligence no longer depends on the instructions of Shastra, revealed scripture, logic or argument. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.292. Baya antara ihara duita sadhana, baye sadhaka dehi kare shravana kirtana, mane nija siddha deha karya bhavana, ratri dine kare praje krishnera sevana. There are two processes by which one may execute his Raganuga Bhakti, external and internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the Shastra conjunctions, especially hearing and chanting. However, within his mind, in his original purified self-realized position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavan in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours, all day and night. Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tadbhava lipsuna karya brajalokanushvrataha. The advanced devotee who is inclined to spontaneous loving service should follow the activities of a particular associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. He should execute service externally as a regulative devotee, as well as internally from his self-realized position. Thus, he should perform devotional service both externally and internally. This verse is found in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.295. Nijabishta Krishna Preshta Pachita Lagya Nirantara Sevakari Antarmanahana. Actually, the inhabitants of Vrindavan are very dear to Krishna. If one wants to engage in spontaneous loving service, he must follow the inhabitants of Vrindavan and constantly engage in devotional service within his mind. So Raganuga Bhakti is generally the domain of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. You go to places that are ontologically beneath Vrindavan, then Raga Bhakti is not so prominent. Vaidhi Bhakti is more prominent. Because when the opulence and the powers intrinsic to Bhagavan are prominent, then Raga Bhakti cannot express itself fully. It's inhibited because it's not a function of so much the free reign of a devotional heart, but it's more the submission to, devotion to the power, the prestige, the omnipotence and omniscience of Bhagavan as Narayan. Whereas in Vrindavan, it's the affection of the higher rasas, Madhura and Shakya, that have Vatsalya Madhura, Vatsalya Shakya ras, that are prominent, that flourish. And for them to flourish, it needs to be heart-based, it needs to be Raga Bhakti. You cannot have scriptural injunction. The gopis do not consult Shastra in terms of how to serve Krishna. That would inhibit their service. So at a certain stage, Vaidhi Bhakti inhibits Raga Bhakti. But at the same time, it's an essential precursor, essential preliminary to Raga Bhakti. You cannot achieve Raga Bhakti without going through the phase of Vaidhi Bhakti. But at some stage, Vaidhi Bhakti must be jettisoned. But not at a premature phase, of course, because then that is detrimental. Krishnam smaran janam chasya preshtam nija sami hitam tat kata ratas chaso kuryad vasam braje sada. The devotee should always think of Krishna within himself, and one should choose a very dear devotee who is a servitor of Krishna in Vrindavan. One should constantly engage in topics about that servitor and his loving relationship to Krishna, and one should live in Vrindavan. However, if one is physically unable to go to Vrindavan, he should mentally live there. It's also from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Dasa Sakha Pitradi Prayasiragana Ragamarge Nijani Jabavera Ganana. Krishna has many types of devotees. Some are servants, some are friends, some are parents, and some are conjugal lovers. Those who are situated in one of these attitudes of spontaneous love according to their choice are considered to be on the path of spontaneous loving service. Nakar hichin matpara santarupe nakshanti no me nimisho ledhi heti yesham aham priya atma sutascha sakha guru suhrido daivam ishtam. My dear mother Devahuti, O emblem of peace, my weapon, the disc of time, never vanquishes those for whom I am very dear, for whom I am the supersoul, the son, friend, spiritual master, well-wisher, worshipful deity, and desired goal. Since the devotees are always attached to me, they are never vanquished by the agents of time. Patiputra suhrid bratrir pitravan mitravadarim ye jayanti sado yuktas tebyopi ha namo namaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances again and again to those who always eagerly meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a husband, son, friend, brother, father, or intimate friend. E mata kariyeba raganuga bhakti krishnera charane tanra upajaya priti. If one engages in spontaneous loving service to the Lord, his affection at the lotus feet of Krishna gradually increases. Prityang kuru rati bhava hayadui nama yaha haite vashahana Sri Bhagavana. In the seed of affection there is attachment, which goes by two names, Rati and Bhava. The Supreme Personality of Godhead comes under the control of such attachment. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on this verse. Externally, a devotee performs all the items of devotional service, Shravan and Kirtan, in 9 different ways. And within his mind, he always thinks of his eternal relationship with Krishna and follows in the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavan. If one engages himself in the service of Radha and Krishna in this way, he can transcend the regulative principles enjoined in the Shastras and, through his spiritual master, fully engage in rendering spontaneous love to Krishna. In this way, he attains affection at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna actually comes under the control of such spontaneous feelings, and ultimately one can attain association with the Lord. Yaha haite pai krishnera prema sevana eta kahilun abideya vivarana. That by which one can attain loving service to the Lord I have described in detail as the execution of devotional service called Abhideya. Abhideya sarna bhakti ebe kahilun sanatana Sankshepe kahilun vistara nayaya varnana. My dear Sanatan, I have briefly described the process of devotional service in practice, which is the means for obtaining love of Krishna. It cannot be described broadly. Abhideya sadhana bhakti shuniye jana Achirat payase Krishna premadana. Whoever hears the process of practical devotional service very soon attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna in love and affection. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pariyare Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa, praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. So that's the end of chapter 22. Sanatana Shiksha. We'll have 2 more chapters of Sanatana Shiksha before we get to the final chapter of...
we finished the other one.
We have 2 more chapters of...
that's the new one, volume 9. Is it?
No. This is... Of course not, because I just finished reading the last chapter of this book.
Ah, right. So you think this is the...
This is 8. This is number 8.
So now you begin that one.
From tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
There's 3... 2 or 3. 3, I think. Yeah, because there's 2 more of Sanatana Shiksha, and then there's a final chapter. So that will be the final... That's the final book in Madhya Lila, volume 9. And then we'll be on to Antya Lila in a couple of months. Maybe next year. Maybe on New Year's Day next year we can start Antya Lila. See if we can time it. Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisundar Govinda Deva Swami Maharaj. We'll read a sub-chapter, which... Attracting the Absolute Autocrat. Question. Oh, we read this one yesterday, sorry. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Praying for a drop of mercy. There is a bird known as the chatak that drinks only water that falls from the clouds. The chatak bird does not drink water from any pond or river. It doesn't drink water from anywhere on the earth. He depends only on rainwater that he catches as it falls from the clouds. When rain clouds appear in the sky, the chatak bird loudly sings their praises, and when raindrops begin to fall, he runs this way and that way to catch them. The chatak bird is satisfied with the raindrops he catches, and he never accepts any water from anywhere else. When a rain cloud appears in the sky, rain is not the only possible outcome. A rain cloud may produce a thunderbolt that can easily destroy a small bird. Still, the chatak bird runs around in the middle of a storm, catching raindrops, and does not care about the danger. His mood is that the clouds are his only shelter and source of life, and he will never consider anything otherwise. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu used the chatak bird as an analogy for the way we should pray to the Lord as we chant His holy name. His expression is very beautiful. Virachaya mai dandam dina bandhu dayam va gatir iha na bhavataha kachid anya mamasti ni patatu shatakotir nibharam va navambas tad api kila payodha stuyate chatakena. O my Lord Krishna, I need a drop of mercy from you. Please bestow that upon me. I am waiting for your mercy like a chatak bird who waits for drops of water to fall from the clouds. You can give me 1 drop of your mercy, or you can choose not to. That depends on your desire, but I will not accept anything from anywhere else. If you want to punish me like a cloud which may cast thunderbolts at a chatak bird, I can tolerate that. Still, I will not go anywhere else. I desire only your mercy. Virachaya mai dandam dinabandhu dayamva. You may bestow your mercy upon me, or you may punish me, O Lord. I know that I am very poor and that I have no actual devotional property. You may send me a thunderbolt or a drop of water. It is your decision. Regardless of your choice, I will always chant your glories and remain surrendered to your lotus feet. I will never take anything from the ground. Whatever grace I receive from you, I will consider to be sufficient for me. This type of exclusive devotional mood in chanting the Lord's holy name is necessary for everyone. it will super benefit the conditioned souls, and liberated souls are always relishing that mood. Of course, it's reminiscent of the final verse of Shikshastakam. Ashishyava paratam pinashtumam madarshnam mamahatam karotu va yatatata va vidadatu lampato ma prananatas sa eva naparaha. Krishna, exclusive devotion to Krishna, even if there is some kind of difficulty in that process. Even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, breaks my heart by not being present, by not showing up, still, he is my worshipful Lord. So that kind of exclusive dedication, which is represented in the Chatakbhava.
Is that a different sloka?
The one just before?
Yeah. Which is similar to the Shikshastakam prayer.
Yeah, it's from Sri Rupa Goswami's Sri Stava Mala. Birachaya mai dandam dinabandhu dayam va katir iha na bhavata kachid anyam mamasti. It's a different one. Shikshastra verse 8 is not quoted here. It's the same theme, but this book was compiled by cutting and pasting from various places in Gurudev's talks, and it was arranged thematically. But I'm sure that verse is given somewhere else in the book. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Srimad Sudhana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. जय सफलिकार श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग सुंदर राधा गिरिधर जी की जय। जय विष्णुपाद श्रील भक्ति सुंदर गोविंद देव गोस्वामी महाराज गुरुदेव की जय। जय विष्णुपाद श्रील भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर देव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। भगवान श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री रूपनु गुरुवार की जय। श्री विश्व वरेण्य श्रील ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। समवेद वैष्णव मंडल की जय। समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री चैतन्य सरस्वती मठ की जय। श्री चैतन्य सरस्वती मठ लंदन वेस्ट लंदन की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। गो प्रेमानंदी हरि 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 बोल।